Hello! I gotta find a seat. I gotta find something to set this up. Let me see what I can do. So, crazy night. Crazy. Oh, curses. Wife! My office has quickly became. What can I do here? Well, office has become. I leave for work for a week, and my wife makes my office my storage room. For those wondering, Rob, why are you on your phone instead of your computer? I just have. What's up, Terry? I just got a little bit of time. I'm super excited. There's a lot of bad stuff happening in the country, and a lot of good stuff, and we'll talk about some of that here. But today I find out if I'm having a boy or a girl, hopefully. So I'm ecstatic. I'm super excited, and I'm ill prepared to do a video. I just have some time, and I'm sitting around just, I don't know if nervous is the right word, excited. So I was like, well, I need something to occupy my time until our 2 o'clock doctor appointment. So here we are. So I'm on the phone. I didn't have time to set up my computer and stuff like that. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. So I just want to let you know, I will be doing most of my live streaming now, on D Live and Twitch. Because, thank you so much, Terry, because they don't censor me, they don't shadow ban me, they don't demonetize me. So I would really recommend, if you like my content, signing up on D Live, which is probably your best bet, which is free, dlive.tv, and I'm Normal America on there, or Twitch TV, I'm Normal America with Rob Norm. Okay, you got all that. So here I am on the phone. On the phone, I could only do YouTube Live, so that's why I'm here today. So let's talk about what's going on. I need one of each. I think at least 2 kids is usually the way to go. Though I'm not the one who's pregnant, so it's easy for me to say, hey, being pregnant's fine. I'm happy. I got a glow about me. My wife's the one who's sick every day, so we'll see what she thinks. But so once I know the gender, I'll let everyone know. Though obviously, I won't say anything on channel until all of my friends and family know. So let's talk about Kenosha to start with. For those of you, if you didn't see, there was some really graphic video. I think at least 2 dead, 3 wounded, or something like that out of Kenosha. This is entirely predictable. You can check out my video on YouTube that I did at 2:30 in the morning last night as I was just appalled. And understand this, I didn't want this. I didn't want vigilante justice at all. I didn't want it. I wanted the police to be allowed to do their job, but these Democrats won't allow them to do it. I wanted our leaders to stand up and say, no, this rioting is not acceptable. But the Democratic Party didn't want to do that. Their media didn't want to do it. Academia didn't want to do it. The entertainment industry didn't want to do it. They lied and said there is no violence, like Jerry Nadler that said it was a myth. They deflected from it. They went with the old, but most of it's peaceful trope, even though Democratic reporters like Michael Tracy have been talking about city after city after city he traveled in, devastated. Mostly inner city communities losing their homes and businesses, just sitting there shaking their head saying, why? We agree with Black Lives Matter. We agree that we want to stem, Black lives being killed by police or Black lives being killed by others. But why are you burning down our community? I kept saying this. I kept saying Black Lives Matter. That's why I'm against the movement Black Lives Matter. So they deflected for it, or they said it wasn't real violence, or it's just property. And I put a video out that said way back in the day when Trump recommended sending in some sort of National Guard, and if that was refused, sending in federal officers or military people. What's up, Jojo? I said it was with a heavy heart. If you watch that video, I explained there were 3 possible outcomes. 1, leave the rioters take over any city they want. That's terrible. 2, you send in the national. And by the way, the first option is you actually have leaders and these Democratic leaders, mayors, chiefs, etc., allow the police to do their job and condemn the rioting. That didn't happen, so that leaves you 3 options. 1, you just let the rioters do what they want, and then you end up with the Chaz zone where they're executing African-American teenagers, and after they put multiple bullets in their car, you could hear them say, this one's still breathing, and then execute them at point-blank range. That's option 1, beating up shop owners, burning down cities, looting, killing people. Option 2 is you actually allow the National Guard in, or some sort of federal officers. That's not a good option, I'll be honest. I'm someone who is kind of a civil libertarian at heart. I don't want to see martial law. I don't want to see federal officers on our streets. However, the third option, what did I say it was? Vigilante justice. And I said it will push us through a civil war. That eventually people will be fired up and they'll say enough is enough and they'll defend themselves. Now, I had friends of mine that said, you're a lunatic, Rob. How could you want the National Guard? How could you want federal officers? Clearly that's horrible. I thought you were a civil-minded person. I said, I don't want that. That's what the Democrats want. That's what de Blasio wants. That's what Cuomo wants. That's what Wheeler wants. That's what the Seattle mayor wants. That's what the Portland mayor wants. They want to make Trump look like a dictator. If you're an inner city business owner, they don't care about you. You need to be sacrificed in an attempt to make Donald Trump look bad. I debated this left-wing Twitch streamer, Destiny. He admitted it. I said, I think de Blasio is allowing the riots to go on because he thinks it'll hurt Trump. Yep, that's what he said. Of course, yes, it's a good thing. The violence is justified if it helps us achieve our political goals. That's what so many people on the left were saying. And I kept saying, it's not going to end well. People are going to stand up and say enough is enough. And now we see it. Now, let me talk real quickly. Apparently, there's accusations that the shooter last night is a white supremacist or a boogaloo boy. I don't know. One, I'm not going to believe it until I see actual evidence. But second, let's talk about if that's true. Let's just assume for the sake of argument. You shouldn't assume. This is what what's up, 6079? This is what they did with Nick Sandmann, remember? He was a white supremacist as well. Oops. I saw on Twitter last night, I was bookmarking tweets, which I'll get to later in the week, where there was a 70-year-old man the first night who they were burning down his business, and he got a fire extinguisher and started to put the fire out, and he chased them away with the fire extinguisher, and they beat him unconscious. And so many left-wing people, including some blue checkmarks on Twitter, were saying, oh, he's clearly a white supremacist. He was using a chemical weapon to attack noble, peaceful protesters, ignoring that they were burning down his livelihood and he was defending it. So I don't know. I don't know if this is a boogaloo boy or not. I don't know. So let's assume, though, and no one, you shouldn't assume that he is until you see evidence. But for the sake of argument, let's assume that they're right and he is. One, does that mean he was in the wrong? I don't know. How is this any different than saying that, what's his name? Can someone remind me, Jacob, the person who was shot in Kenosha by the police? You hear the Democrats say all the time, and I agreed with them, like with George Floyd. I'll give that as an example. George Floyd shouldn't have been made a saint because of the horrible things he did in his life, but that doesn't justify that officer keeping his knee on his neck for that long. Jacob Blake, yeah. Jacob Blake did some horrible, horrible things, right? But if it's a bad shoot, it's a bad shoot. It doesn't, whether or not someone's a good person, doesn't, if they're a bad person, that doesn't mean that the police are automatically justified in shooting him. Now, with the Blake situation, clearly we don't know. There's so many details out there, which I'll talk about in a minute. I'm just making the point, just because someone's a terrible person doesn't mean that, oh, if they're terrible, then if the police shot them, it must be justified. That shouldn't factor in. Now, if they were doing things in the moment that were terrible, that's totally different. But the Democrats call that out. Yet here they are. Oh, if you're a boogaloo boy, then the shooting must have been bad. Was it? I don't know. Was he being attacked? I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was. We don't know. I saw someone throw something at him that looked like he was on fire before he fired the first shot. I don't know what it was. Would you reasonably, after seeing all the riots, the devastation, the destruction, and hearing Nancy Pelosi say that if you're a Trump supporter, you're an enemy of the people, a domestic enemy of the state? Couldn't you reasonably fear for your life if you see violent marauders burning down buildings, smashing things, attacking people, knocking 70-year-olds unconscious, etc.? That's what happens. When you put it in people's hands to defend themselves, this is what's going to happen. But even if it finds out that this shooting wasn't justified, and the police will arrest him, of course they have to. Of course, because the people that run the police, just like the McCloskeys, they had to arrest the McCloskeys. Why? Because the people that run this country, the people with real power, want to encourage a race war. They want to encourage all of this rioting and civil war. And so they allow their police, they tell their police that they can't act against the actual rioters. They allow the rioters to get out of jail almost scot-free. And I've told you 100 times on this channel, they're just waiting until someone defends themselves until they can say, oh, look, it's that side. Those evil right-wingers, they're the problem. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. But even still, even if this was, as we're being told, as the Sean Kings and the Black Lives Matter, the people of the world will tell us this was a Boogaloo boy. Don't know if that's true, but let's assume it was. He was in the wrong to shoot. Okay, don't know if that's true, but let's assume that they're right about that. Is this shocking? How many times did I say on here, you dolts, when you allow this, when you say political violence is justified, when you say the rioting's not that big deal, they're mostly peaceful, I said, you don't think that extremists on the left and the right are going to take advantage of this? Of course they are. Of course. Yes, this might come as news to people if you're on the right. There are extreme right-wingers that are terrible people. I have no love for white nationalists. I have no love for people on the right that want to use political violence to intimidate, harass, or whatever. Those exist. If you set up a system where you say, oh, we don't want police, it's just the Wild West, people do what they want, you don't think that those same people are like, good, great, let's do it. So I have no proof that this was a bad shoot by the person, that he wasn't defending himself. I also have no proof that he's a racist. None. But even if he was, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think if you let black supremacists run wild in the street, riot and burn down city after city, while the politicians say, hey, it's a good thing, it's a good movement, did you really think that the white supremacists wouldn't get involved? Did you think that would happen? Now, I don't know if this guy's a white supremacist, a Boogaloo boy. Again, I don't know any of it. I don't. I'm just saying, it's inevitable, it's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. When you allow people to take the law into their own hands and burn down things because it's politically justified, this is the result. And yeah, you're right, Sandy. Good people are tired of it. I said my piece in my video last night. Regardless of the specific situation of this guy, this was inevitable. I wanted to avoid this. I knew that there would be blood on the street. I knew it. I knew it. Everyone with half a brain knew it. When you continually allow people, I mean, did you see the footage from the first night? Just business owners crying, saying, that's my entire life destroyed. We didn't do anything. We support Black Lives Matter. Yeah, you thought you did. You didn't realize what they were, that they're the mob, that they're the riots. When you allow state-sanctioned violence against people, against their property, against them as individuals, inevitably they'll defend themselves, and they have every right to. Does that mean that's specifically what this shooter did last night? I don't know. Unlike the people that are out there mobbing people and burning down cities, I'm not rushing to judgment. I don't know. I haven't seen enough. I don't know. But I know this is inevitable. It's just like I say with the police. When there's so much violence in these inner cities, and there's so much antagonism towards police, and there's so much resisting arrest and violence directed towards police from these inner city communities, that will increase both justified and unjustified uses of violence by the police. Does that mean, oh, the inner city is like a war zone, so therefore anytime the police uses violence, it's okay? No, I'm with you. Condemn specific acts of police violence that are over the line. Totally with you. Totally for it. But I'm just saying, when you have war zones, you have to expect violence, both justified and unjustified, to increase. It's the same with this. When you allow riots, when you have Democratic politicians allowing and encouraging this and not allowing police to quell these riots, you are going to see people legitimately defend themselves, and you'll see people use it as an excuse to enact violence on other people. Both of those things could be true at the same time. Both of them. Now, I don't want to hear how the people that were shot were innocent. How? They were engaged in mob violence. What would you do? What would you do if the mob came for you? Would you pick your shot carefully? There's 100 people coming at you, but only 3 want to kill you. If you're one of those 100 people and you're sitting in the mob, watching them burn down things, watching them beat people, watching them throw Molotov cocktails, watching them destroy property, what are you doing? You're not peaceful at that point. You're engaged in a riot. And as so, when the rioters attack someone, you have to understand that it is reasonable that if those people defend themselves, you could get caught in the crossfire. Do I want that to happen? No. I don't want anyone to suffer violence. Period. I don't want it. Like, I understand. Yes, you'll see people like play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I get it, and I'm not judging the people saying that. But I swear to God, like those people that were killed, even if they were terrorists, which they were, even if they were rioters, which they They were involved in those riots. We saw what it was. They were out there. They have families. Thank you, Ramon. BLM is a domestic terrorist organization. Totally agree. I don't want their families to have to go through losing a loved one because their kid decided to go be a violent rioter, or they decided to go be a LARPer. Sorry, I had to feed the dogs there. They decided to go LARP and think, oh, it's cool. Do you understand? Do you understand that there are kids, young people, and I mean, I just watch Andy Knows reporting. It's unbelievable to me in Portland for the people that are arrested, how many of them are elementary school teachers? But do you understand there's large groups of people? Yes, you have the ideologues that actually want to usher in Marxism. They want anarchy or globalism. That's what they want. They're racist. They're terrorists. That's a big portion of them. But there's so many people that go out there because they think it's fun and it's hip and it's cool and I could loot some Nike stores and get some TVs. And they think, what's the harm? White supremacy anyway, so I'm just fighting the man, which is good. And what's in the small chance I get arrested, which is completely unlikely, I'll just have some prosecutor that lets me off with a slap on the wrist. It's the game. Yes, don't get me wrong. There are ideologues that are running this movement that want to overthrow the United States. That's why they're a terrorist organization. But their numbers are buttressed by people that think they're playing a fun game. Well, this is what's going to happen. And it's going to get worse. People are going to start shooting back. It's not Portland. You come into the suburbs, you come into rural areas, this is what will happen. Sorry. Pete the Patriot, thanks for being here, man. Yeah, teachers are the first ones shot in the head under communism. Liberals get the bullet too, right? Absolutely. Willful tools. I've been saying, I'll get to that in a minute. So I don't, listen, I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. I understand. I think Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist organization. I do. The same with Antifa. You won't find someone who I think has railed against them as often. Like I said, I was doing panels with people, centrists, that were sending me text messages behind the scenes saying, I actually agree with you about Black Lives Matter, but I'm afraid to say something on these panels because I know I'll be attacked. I ain't afraid. I've been saying it since day one. Day one, I've been saying it. That this is a movement for political power. They're not really concerned about Black lives, and that their policies would actually be detrimental to all Americans, including and specifically inner city Black Americans. Defunding the police, getting rid of the structures of the nuclear family. Burning down inner city Black communities. Who's that affect the most? It affects inner city Black communities. I was posting you Gallup polls that showed most Black people polled want an increase or the same amount of police presence. They don't want defunded police. Or if they want defunded police, they don't want the removal of it like you see so many people in Black Lives Matter. But I'm called a racist for saying that. It's nonsense. I go in these panels, they want to deflect. What violence? They're like Jerry Nadler. Violence? What violence? Huh? Violence? I don't see any. They'll talk about this today. Do you think one of them will be like, well, most of the people, the armed citizens that were defending against the rioters, most of them didn't engage in violence, right? Is that what they're going to say? Oh, most of it. Like, think about it. They're going to freak out. Oh, my God, someone got shot and killed. These lunatics, these boogaloo boys, these white supremacists that were out there with long rifles defending stuff, they're just white supremacists. That's garbage. That's not true. But they'll think that it's important to talk about this one incident. Why? Didn't they tell us with all the riots and stuff? Oh, most of the protesters are peaceful. So I don't want to hear one person that said that. Not one. Not one of the Black Lives Matter endorsers that said most of the protests are peaceful. You don't get to say a damn word about these shootings now. Why? Well, most of the people that are defending their property aren't shooting people. So, no need to bring it up, right? No need. Oh, it'll be a different story now, though. Then you see Don Lemon and them last night, even before we saw this. They know. You can tell what's going on at CNN. Look, they'll lie to you with the polls. I get it. They're gaslighting you because they want to steal the election, and so they have to make it seem like Biden's just got this insurmountable lead. I don't know what the truth is, but I have a feeling that's garbage. I don't know if it'll matter because they'll cheat so bad in the election. We haven't seen anything yet. Wait until you see the scandals that they release against Trump in the next couple months. things coming out of the woodwork. They're going to try to continue to keep us locked down and crush the economy. They're going to try to infect elderly people with COVID like my governor, Tom Wolf, did, so that the death numbers pile up. They'll do that. They'll try to keep you from getting cheap medications or testing that might be able to alleviate it. They'll try to make sure that you can't hang out with your family, all in the name of the lockdown. They'll encourage rioting. They'll encourage looting. They'll have people come forward and say, Donald Trump sexually assaulted me, and I was silent for all these years, but now, right before the election, I feel the need to speak up. They're going to try to do what they can with Federal Reserve policy to crush the economy even more, to hurt small businesses. The worst the country's doing, they think they can blame Donald Trump. You'll see scandals coming out with people leaking from the intel agencies, Trump's State Department, the IRS, and stuff like that. You'll hear them accused that they've got their copies of Trump's taxes and he had businesses in Russia or something like that. All of this is going to happen. They'll continue to push for mail-in voting so that they can engage in more fraud. They'll deny that fraud exists. So I don't know. Trump better win 80-20 with all the cheating that'll go on. We'll see. Just my feeling. You already had Hillary Clinton come out the other day and said, under no circumstances should Joe Biden concede. What if he loses? What if he loses 80-20? It is a coup. You're absolutely right, Pete the Patriot. But the internal numbers, CNN, you can tell from CNN's tone last night, they know what's going on. How many people are they going to interview that had their building burnt down that say, I support Black Lives Matter? You support them because the media has lied to you, because the Democrats in academia and Silicon Valley and the entertainment industry have lied to you. They lied to you. They're great. That's why I say when I talk about Black Lives Matter, I don't mean my friends that support them. They don't know. They truly believe that it's a big conspiracy that there's any violence. They don't know what happened in the Chad zone. They don't know that 2 unarmed blacks were shot and 1 was executed. They don't know any of that. Why? Because they listen to the media and the media doesn't tell them. And the Democrats don't tell them. But now it's starting to become obvious. All of these people that were like, I thought I was Black Lives Matter. Where are the police? Why aren't they helping me? What's going on? One Republican being made after another. A lot of these people don't like Trump probably and wouldn't want to vote for Republican. But what's their option at this point? Sorry, dude. You had privilege. I'm not even white. I'm a black business owner. Why did they burn down my business? Sorry, privilege or something. Suck it up. Vote Democrat. That's what we see going on. And so CNN last night, Don Lemon's like, I hear you, Dean, yeah. So the Democrats, Don Lemon and them, now they're saying, Joe Biden's the one who could stop these riots. And we do need to do something about it. What riots? What violence? You spent months telling us it wasn't happening. What are we up to? 73, 74 days in Portland, nonstop? The nonsense in Seattle? Again, all you have to do is you have any question. If you're watching and you're on the left, just ask yourself this. If a Tea Party group took over 6 city blocks, declared themselves separate from the United States, started building their own military force and shooting people, demanding that people show their papers and their ID before they be allowed in, would you be okay with that? They're extorting businesses in that community? And then the local mayor says, oh, it's the summer of love. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay if we saw Tea Party people in all these cities burning down things like we see now? If a bunch of people were furious about the death of, Daniel Shaver when cops shot a white man and decided to go out and burn down communities in the name of defending white people, would you be okay with that? It's okay when it's on the left. It's okay if it's left-wing rioting. That's how you know it's garbage. It's not okay. The rioting's not okay. And so now they got, they don't care. What kind of monster would you have to be Don Lemon? Think about this. Think about this for a second. And for those that didn't see, what I'm talking about is he came out and was talking to Chris Cuomo, and he's like, Biden needs to get on top of this, and the rioting's not good, and they need to handle it. And then what's the next words out of his mouth? The polling is in. So you didn't give a crap about the riots and about the people dying and the people losing their businesses until the polling showed that it wasn't good for your side? And that's exactly what the truth is. That's exactly who the media and the Democrats are. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about inner city communities and the businesses ran there. They don't care that people are being murdered. They don't care at all. All they care about is what helps us get political power. Oh, we got polling every day. Polling says riots are hurting Donald Trump. Yes, we support the riots, or we'll deflect for them. Oh, now it says the riots are hurting the Democrats. Oh, yeah, we got to do something about these riots. They don't care about you. If you're watching and you're in the inner city, they don't care about you. You're just a pawn to them. That's it. That's all you are. All right. So that's what's going on in Kenosha. It's going to get worse. Nothing will change. They'll go out. This is what will happen. Now that you'll see, it's institutional racism, systemic racism. All the institutions are against Black Lives Matter. How many times have we seen people with impunity riot? But they'll get this guy that shot people. He just like the McCloskeys. Oh, they'll be at them full bore. You'll see the governor of Wisconsin, who, by the way, Trump offered to send in the National Guard. He declined. Blood is on his hands directly. Again, they thought the riots would hurt Donald Trump. They didn't care. The riots could have killed 10,000 people. They wouldn't have cared. As long as Trump got the blame. That's good. Just like COVID. They don't want a cure for COVID. They want people to die. That's why Democratic governors put COVID patients in nursing homes. Everybody with half a brain knew if you put COVID people in with the most vulnerable people, it's likely to spread and kill them. But somehow that's what the health experts told us we had to do. The Democrat health experts, like my health secretary Levine, that's what she said we had to do. And then when tens of thousands of people die in nursing homes, they go, oh, yeah, it's Trump's fault. We need to stop you from going to a wedding. We need to stop you from working, healthy person. Because we killed a bunch of old people in nursing homes. That's who they are. They don't mind the dead bodies. You're not a person to them. They don't care. You're just a pawn. When you are useful, they'll use you. When not, they don't care. They don't care if you die. At all. I said this yesterday when I was doing my live stream about Nick Sandmann. They wouldn't have cared in the least bit if Nick Sandmann would have been killed. They don't care. They would have pretended, oh, that's tragic, that's horrible. Nah. Anyways, moving on. That's exactly what they would do. They don't care at all. At all. They want Jacob Blake to die. They don't want him to live. They want him to die so that there's more of an excuse for rioting and more to attack Donald Trump. Now, I want to talk about, am I getting his name right? I apologize if I'm not. Jacob Blake. Did anybody see his mother's interview with Don Lemon? Look it up. Let me first say this. I never once, you'll never hear me, I don't care if it's George Floyd's family, Trayvon Martin's family, Michael Brown's family, this guy's family. I do not begrudge family for saying some crazy stuff after this. If they want to say this is systemic racism and burn it down, they're wrong. But I get it. If you lost a child, you'd probably say some crazy stuff. Now, it's the people exploiting that kind of aggravate me a little more. But I don't begrudge the family even if they're saying crazy stuff. I get it. I get it. Right? But this Blake guy's mom is unbelievably classier, more than I would be in this situation. So she thinks her son was innocent. Now, new footage has come out that show it looks like he probably did have a knife. So there's a longer shot of it that looks like he probably did have a knife. He was refusing police orders. He was hostile towards them. Then he ran, then he got in the car, and it looks like he's reaching for something. We still don't know if there was a gun in the car. But even if there was or wasn't, let's talk about this for a second. Do you understand that police in a life and death situation, particularly with someone like this that's brandished a weapon before, that's accused of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old, that's fought with police before, that's refusing orders to drop a weapon while he's allegedly holding a knife? If all that's true, which I don't know, but that's what it looks like could be the case, but I'm willing to admit I'm only getting part of the story too, so I could be wrong. But if that's true, what do you think? Let's assume that there wasn't a gun in the car, that he wasn't reaching for a gun. It might be still a bad shoot. I don't know. I'm not a police officer. I'm not in that situation. I don't know what it's like for someone to be armed and then turn their back to me but look like they're reaching for something in the car while they're not complying with me. What are you supposed to do? Wait until he turns and points the gun at you and then shoot? What do you think the reflexes are of that? You go ahead. You do that. See what happens. You go ahead. And there's footage out there. I've seen someone who was critical of the police that went through the police training course themselves, and they had 3 scenarios, and he was 0 for 3. Twice he shot an innocent person, and the third time he got shot and killed. And what this is a training course that shows the dangers of how unpredictable gun violence could be. And the person came away, who was very critical of the police, came away saying, wow, that's really opened my eyes. So I don't know. Now, does that mean police shouldn't be held to a higher standard? No, I'm not saying that. I get it. Like, I get all of that. But it's not as clear-cut as they make it believe. I've said this from the get-go. Are there things about the police that need reformed? Absolutely. There was universal condemnation of what Chauvin did to George Floyd. Almost universal. Even if it turns out that it's looking more and more like he died of the drugs and not of what Chauvin did. Still, I think what Chauvin did was heinous. And he should be charged with something. It's not going to be murder. That's not the right charge. We'll see what happens. But yes, there's room for improving police. Individual police officers, when they do something wrong, should be held accountable. There's room for that. There's also room for fixing policing in the way that we ask them to go about their business. We need more community-based policing and less like asset forfeiture and things like that. There are certainly things that we could talk about with the police. The problem is when you start in the lie that it's all about systemic racism, then you don't get the other side of the equation, which is we're encouraging a culture of people that think that the police are all bloodthirsty racists that are trying to kill them all, and that's causing them to resist arrest over and over. And then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when we only look at one side of the ledger, nothing will ever be fixed. And so what will happen is the police will just stop policing, and then homicides will go through the roof, and inner city blacks will pay the price for a bunch of white liberals that are screaming Black Lives Matter to fund the police. That's what's going to happen. So all I'm saying is, I don't know. I was right out there when I saw what happened to George Floyd, and I said, I don't care what Floyd's cause of death was. It was heinous what Derek Chauvin did to him. Heinous. Period. I was out there and I said that. Now, further footage has showed that George Floyd wasn't the angel in that incident that we were told he was, and that he was having breathing problems before police laid a hand on him. But that still doesn't excuse what Chauvin did. In this case, I can't say. I don't know. What if there was a gun in the car? Like I said, even if there wasn't, how would the police officers to know that? But what if there was? Then what? Does that change things? That he was reaching for a gun. Now what? The police were just supposed to let him grab the gun? Or is it the argument that I've heard, they should just leave him go and then arrest him later at home? Yeah, because if he wasn't being cooperative there, I'm sure he'd be cooperative later at home. Oh, and you know, the people that might testify against him, like allegedly the underage girl that he sexually assaulted, maybe he'll decide to take her out as well. Right, that's what I'm saying, Dean. I don't know. It doesn't prove systemic racism, and rioting and burning down inner city black communities isn't helping. But the media won't tell you that. They just said, all the media said, unarmed black man shot in the back. Was he unarmed? Did he have a knife? Was he reaching for a gun? We don't know. But somehow the media that are gaslighting everyone, they want the racial inflammation. They think it's bad for Trump. So yeah, good for them. I don't know if he was armed or not. I'm not claiming I know. I don't know if this was a good shoot or not by the police. Was it murder? Was it just unjustified use of force that doesn't rise to the level of murder? Was it justified? I don't know. I don't know at all. I know this doesn't look as bad as the white guy that was killed by police there that you saw footage of last week, where he was playing video games with his girlfriend, and the police came to the door and it looked like he reached to his hip and they shot and killed him. That was worse. I don't recall the riots. I don't recall the White Lives Matter movement. Right, Big Sky, you should follow police instructions. The way you do it is you listen to them, and if they behaved unjustifiably, then you take your day in court. But you don't resist arrest. You don't do the crazy stuff that these people are doing. Well, Pete, I'm not saying it is bad for Trump, but that's what they're trying to make it seem like. Yeah, a knife is a weapon. And I told you, this was what you're supposed to do, and it's the same with police. When the rioters and the mobs come for you, or when the criminal comes for the police, your obligation is to turn so that when they stab or shoot you, it doesn't hit a vital artery. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what they think. They're justified in their use of violence or resisting arrest no matter what. They could do whatever they want. Beat up a cop, steal his taser, shoot the taser at the cop. The cop's not allowed to shoot at you. Isn't that what they said in Atlanta? Now, back to Jacob Blake's mom. She's on Don Lemon, and she's making a plea. Please stop rioting. Please stop burning down businesses. It doesn't help my son. It doesn't help anyone. This is nonsense. Great thing to say, right? The rioters don't care. They don't care about Jacob Blake. They don't care about his mom. They don't care at all. They don't care. Now, look, this is different than Cannon Hinton, whose parents came out and said they didn't want to make it about, they didn't want people exploiting it. I get that. And I don't mind black activists, even if it's against the wishes of the mom, talking about how they think that this shooting was unjustified. That's fine. What's not justified is the rioting and the mobbing. That's not justified. And so she's absolutely right to say, this isn't in my son's name. Stop it. Now understand, she's grieving her son was just shot. He might be paralyzed. That takes a big person to say that. But then Don Lemon goes further and says, you got anything you'd like to say to any politicians? Anything you'd like to say to Trump? right? Because Don Lemon doesn't care about our kid. He doesn't care about her. He cares about getting a soundbite to make Trump look bad. That's all he cares about. You know what she said? First off, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump, or President Trump, that I missed your phone call. I think that your statements would have been different if you heard directly from me. Reasonable. She probably doesn't like everything Trump said, but she's saying, okay, if I got to talk to you in person, maybe things would have shook up differently, which is probably true. And Trump tried to call her. You didn't hear that from the media? Maybe Trump will show up to her funeral and lecture, or if he would have died, maybe Trump would have showed up to the funeral and lecture her and everyone else in his community about the need to comply with police more. Oh wait, that's what Barack Obama did when a Black Lives Matter supporter shot 5 police officers. He had the audacity to show up to their funeral and lecture the police on how they need to deal with black people better. Instead, Trump's calling is calling people's families saying, I'm sorry. So she didn't answer the call. But one, that was a good admission. And second, she said that she respects Trump. And she understood that one of her family members said some harsh things about Trump, which she doesn't necessarily agree with, but understand that that family member was grieving. Huh. She respects Trump. Isn't that odd? Don't burn things down. Mr. Trump, or President Trump, I'm sorry I missed your call. I don't necessarily agree with everything you said, but I respect you. What class does that take? That's unbelievable class. With Don Lemon, that's not right. Ma'am, you can't say that. We need you to bash Mr. President Trump. Nonsense. So, oh, and then one other thing I wanted to talk about. Now there's a big push where the kid that shot the people in Kenosha, he had an AR-15. Oh, we need to ban the AR-15. Are you kidding me? Let's assume that the first shooting was unjustified. I don't know. But let's, again, for the sake of argument, say this was a boogaloo boy and the first shooting was unjustified. I don't know. It looks like there's definitely a case for the second, when he blew the kid's arm off, for that to be justified. They attacked him, they mobbed him, they started beating him when he tripped and fell to the ground, and he started shooting. That's an advertisement for AR-15s as far as I'm concerned. This entire 3 months has been an advertisement for an AR-15. Why? Because your normal handgun, it's not going to have the stopping power to stop the mob when it comes from you. And it's clear that your Democratic politicians and leaders, they don't care. They're not going to allow the police to defend you. So there couldn't be a better advertisement for an AR-15. What if this kid didn't have an AR? What if he had a 6-shot pistol? Then what? He'd be dead. He'd be beaten to death. That's what would happen. They were going to beat him to death. So I don't understand. Well, ban the AR-15. How would that have made things better? And what it's all about is they want mob rule. That's what they want. They want you disarmed. They said, the police will protect you. You don't need to arm yourself. And then they say, oh, by the way, the police are racist. We don't want them to protect you. That's what happened. Now, let me just say, the last thing I'll say on this is it's going to get worse before it gets better. Only force will stop the mob. And so only once they learn, hey, if we go out, there's a good chance our lives are at risk. We can't just beat people with immunity. We can't steal things with immunity. We can't burn down property with immunity. The cops might let us go, but the business owner might not. Only then will it stop. Unless our elected leaders allow police to do what they're doing. Why do we even have a government at this point? Isn't the first fundamental promise of government to protect us from enemies, foreign and domestic? If our government's going to allow left-wing domestic terrorists to burn down property with impunity, why are we paying taxes? What's the government doing for us again? Well, our tax money is going to schools to indoctrinate our children to hate this country, to create more terrorists. Okay, all the more reason to not pay them. Now, I'm not recommending that people not pay their taxes. I'm saying, though, that we need to start saying this country has failed. The leadership of this country has failed us at all levels. If they're not going to protect us from clearly people destroying property, doing things like this. Again, just put the shoe on the other foot. If a bunch of Trump supporters decide that they want to ravage communities and burn things down in the name of conservatism, let's say they're upset about abortion. How could it, first off, I despise abortion, totally despise it. However, the people that were firebombing abortion clinics were wrong. They were wrong. How can the left that condemn that be for what we see with these riots and everything? Well, the majority of people against abortion aren't firebombing clinics, so it's not worth talking about the ones that did, right? Right? Isn't that the argument? 6079, that's an excellent point that I make all the time. If you're in Black Lives Matter, understand this. Do you think if Joe Biden gets elected, they're going to allow this crap to go on? You think they're going to allow you to protest Democrats like they do Republicans? Ask Lori Lightfoot, in Chicago's mayor. She said, no protesting around my house. I have the right to keep my family safe, she said. Yes, exactly. You don't have that right as an American, but Lori Lightfoot does. Because she's special, she's elite, and you're not. Do you think that once you start to get to them? I say this all the time to these Black Lives Matter supporters that I debate. All these corporations, it's the first revolution in history that's from the top down. All these corporations funding the revolution. They say that the institutions are racist, but the institutions are defending the movement that says the institutions are racist. And they think they're actually going to be real change? So as soon as you get done beating up conservatives and burning down inner city black communities and nothing changes, who are you going to go after next? Joe Biden? The Democrats? Nike? Jeff Bezos? You think they'll let that stand? You're just a useful tool to them. Right now, you're creating violence, and they thought it was beneficial to them. As soon as they think that you're an impediment to their election success or them getting power, they will wipe you out. No questions asked. They don't care. At all. So because there's only two ways this ends. One, our elected leaders say enough is enough, and they allow the police to do their job. Or two, more vigilantes. And then the other side, the Black Lives Matter, they'll start bringing more guns, and you'll just see more death all around until finally as a country we say, oh, my virtue signaling to go on Facebook, oh, I just love going on Facebook and saying, oh, what riots? I don't see any riots. This is a noble cause. White privilege and, white fragility and this and that and the other. Oh, I feel so special about myself. I feel so good. What about the people dying? What about the people losing their business, including black business owners? Oh, I don't, what are you talking about? That's all a myth. No, most of them are peaceful protests. This is great. This is a great movement. Communism's so great. Yeah, okay. Once they burn down your house, then you'll be like, oh, geez. Eesh. So we'll see how long the virtue signaling outweighs the actual lives lost. Let's see, I guess, right? Now, the RNC, I didn't get to watch all of it. I did see some of it, and so some highlights that I wanted to talk about. Notice how so many on the left. Look, I don't care. You can make fun of people all you want. I don't care. You want to pick on Donald Trump's hair? I don't care. You want to pick on Sarah Palin for being, supposedly a dumb woman? I don't care. I don't care. What I do care about is hypocrisy. So I'm sick and tired of seeing everyone on the left say that Trump's a racist or he's a xenophobe and Trump supporters are this or that and that and this. And then every single time that they get an opportunity to behave in the exact same way they're criticizing, they do it. So how many people Bette Midler and company are going to make fun of Melania Trump's accent? Oh, that's cool now, right? That's cool. Anderson Cooper said when he was doing the naturalization ceremony, Trump, he said, it looks like these people he's naturalizing came from those, quote, shithole countries. One, how does Anderson Cooper know where someone comes from just because of the way they look? Interesting, Anderson. Secondly, that's what you're going to say to these people in the happiest moment of their life or one of their happiest moments, becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen? That's what you're going to bring up? Keep in mind, when Trump said this, it was behind closed doors. Other presidents have talked like that as well. And it is true, those countries are S-hole countries. I come from a rural town that's broke. It's an S-hole town. I don't mind someone saying that as long as they're not saying, and let's treat this country or this area like garbage. But the Democrats decided to release that to make our president look bad because they thought it scored them political points. That's what they thought. But Anderson Cooper comes publicly and says that? Okay, we got it. We see what you're doing. You couldn't say, hey, that's great. He thinks it's odd, too. Scott Adams was talking about this, which I just watched before I came on here. No, I'm not on D-Live right now. It's just YouTube because I'm on my phone. But Scott Adams was talking about this. It's like they're cognitive dissonance. They're like, wait, I thought Trump was a racist. Why would he encourage immigration? Trump's never been against legal immigration. Ever. Ever. It's the left that conflates illegals with legal. They made fun of Melania Trump. Nick Sandmann, how many people on the left were going to say, the Huffington Post, for example, said, oh, this is just white grievance culture. Again, I don't know how many times I could say it. Nick Sandmann's story is real simple. The media, academia, and the entertainment industry in Silicon Valley and the Democratic politicians decided they would defend adult black homophobic racists yelling at children because the children were perceived as Trump supporters. They defended an Indian man with his Indian friends that were screaming, go back to your country, who got in the kid's face, banged a drum in his face, said that the adult black racists were making harsh truths to these kids. They defended that guy, even when they find out that he was lying, that he fundamentally lied and said the kids surrounded him, which it was the exact opposite of the truth, that they approached the kids for a political point, for a visual aid, or whatever you want to call it. And then once the media figured out they got the story wrong, and they said he had a punchable face, and they doxed him, and he was getting death threats, and the school had to shut down for a while because there were credible threats of bombings at the school over this. Then they said, oh, we're sorry. But not really, because look, 5 years before Nick Sandmann was at this school, there was a blackout game, a basketball game, and someone painted themselves black. What's the newsworthiness of that story? So you just found out that your reporting led to death threats on an innocent kid, and you defended adult black racists, and instead of saying, wow, we did really bad, we're sorry about that, you say, oh, but let's see what else we could dig out about that school years before Nick Sandmann went there, so we could try to justify our smearing of him. The Democratic Party is so racist at this point that they're willing to defend adult black racists, or they're willing to offend adult racists attacking children, as long as those adult racists have the right skin color. That's the Democratic Party. And last night, they didn't disappoint again, with so many on the left saying, oh, Nick Sandmann, snot-nosed kid. Someone on CNN said, the Huffington Post said it was white grievance culture. Do you think the Huffington Post would write if a bunch of KKK members surrounded black students and started shouting racist and homophobic slurs at them? Do you think they would say that's black grievance culture to talk about the media smearing the black kids? Do you think that's how CNN or the Huffington Post would phrase that? I don't. And you know that's not the truth. Everybody knows it. Thank you. I am on a roll, aren't I, Dean? So yeah, Sandmann's speech was really good, and he's absolutely right. There's a person with more conviction, and you're starting to see them pop up. You saw that mob the other day surround that woman while she was eating and demand that she put her fist up with the Black Power salute, and she wouldn't do it. You see people like Nick Sandmann. More spine and backbone than 90% of our Republican elected officials. I can't even get my local officials to say it's not a racist country. I can't get them to do that. Nick Sandmann has a spine. Where's my elected official? So good for you, Nick Sandmann. I hope you sued CNN. I hope you got $100 million at least. I really do. They're despicable, they're disgusting, and the fact that even last night, after everything he went through, they're still going to attack him. Remember, it was the same people when David Hogg was out there saying, F you got blood in your hands if you agree with the Second Amendment, blah, 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 blah. They said you couldn't criticize David Hogg. Thank you, Julie, I really appreciate it. That's what they said, right? That's what they said. But oh, it's cool for them to attack a kid like this. They're just garbage hypocrites. That's what they are. Greta Thunberg, you can't attack her. But Nick Sandmann, you can go after him. Even when he's getting doxxed and death threats and you're saying he has a punchable face. That's all good. That's all good. Twitter allowed all that stuff up. They didn't care. Yeah, go after Nick Sandmann. The RNC is worlds better than the DNC, what little I watched of both of them. Both just technically from a persuasive standpoint and their message. But again, if I was Trump, all I would do, constantly, I would get a website, whatever it is, reelect Donald Trump or whitehouse.gov or whatever, and it would constantly be showing on a 24/7 loop every example of violence we've seen from Black Lives Matter. Kenosha, Portland, Seattle, DC, Philadelphia, Chicago. On and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. It would be on a constant loop. There you go. That's the Democrats. That's what they want. And now what they're saying is, this is the deal. And I've told people, this is what they're saying. The Democrats' bargain is this. We will attack your country in every way we can because you didn't vote for us. We will make your life a living hell. If you want it to end, vote for us. Give us power. There are people I know that are actually saying, I feel like if Biden's elected, the riots will stop. They're probably right. They will. So maybe I'll just vote for Biden, even though I know it's the left doing it. Nothing will change then. Then you might as well be ready to vote Democrat, whatever they do for the rest of your life. Because if there's not consequences for this, they'll just say, what do you think's going to happen 4 years later at the next election, 2024? They'll say, hey, let's burn shit down. Let's attack people. Let's kill people. We'll kill you if you don't vote for us. Oh, I guess I better vote for you. That's how absurd it's became. So, all right, my phone's dying, so I got to go. Thank you for everyone listening. If I could give a final plea, 2 things. One, I don't do advertisements on my show. I do sell life insurance now. If you have kids and would like to talk about getting really affordable life insurance for your kids, think about it this way. If you get life insurance for your kids now, you can get good coverage for like 10, 11 bucks a month. That rate will be locked in their entire life. Their entire life. So when they're 50 or 60 like you, or 30 or 40, whatever, and they want life insurance to protect their kids, and it's going to cost them $300-400 a month, they'll be paying 11 bucks a month or 12 bucks a month. So if you have kids, please let me know. I got some kits that could help them out. Or if you'd like life insurance yourself, please contact me. The other thing I'll say is thank you so much for the donations and things like that. I really appreciate it, Ramon. Anyone else who donates, I really appreciate those. You can email me at rob.nor@gmail.com if you want my postal address. If you prefer to send me a check or something instead of giving YouTube money, I'm totally cool with that. And Julie, if anyone wants the life insurance info, please, can I chat here? I'll put in the chat. I don't know how to chat. Am I able to chat? Let's see here. Nope. Well, anyways, it's, can anyone type this in the chat for me? My email, rob.noer, Noerr, @gmail.com. If you have just an article you'd like me to read, if you'd just like to chat, if you'd like life insurance information, rob.noer @gmail, Noerr, it's how you spell my name. So Julie, go ahead and get a hold of me on there. And then the last thing I'll say is I'm really trying to push my D Live and Twitch. So I'm Normal America on DLive.tv. Just search Normal America there, you'll find me. And on Twitch.tv, I'm Normal America with Rob Noer, all one word. Both of those are one word. Normal America, one word on DLive. Normal America with Rob Noer on Twitch. But I'm really trying to push them because they don't shadow ban me as much as YouTube does. So I'm going to try to be pushing those platforms as well. Also, I didn't see everyone that was in the chat. Thank you, 6079. But my friend Pete the Patriot's on here. Please, please, please check out Pete the Patriot's channel. He's fantastic. He does a great job. If you like what I have to say, he says many of the same things, and he does so in probably a more handsome way than I do, which I could say. So, no, he's a great guy, and I really think you should check out his channel. Also, some other channels to check out. Check out my friend Drone Tech Politics. Check out SJG Perspective. Both are good friends of mine. Check out Sarah. Sarah Corrier's channel. Corrriher. Check out Doug Dakota's channel. Patriot Hour is a great channel. Let's Be Frank is a great channel. I don't know. Don't Walk, Run. I don't know that channel, but yeah, Sarah's fantastic. She's one of my favorite people as well. So if you email me and you would like a list of people that I think are great conservative commentators, I would be more than happy to send you some of them. I could also point you to some left-wing commentators. Even if you're on the left, my recommendation is stop getting your news from the mainstream media. They don't care about you. At least, even if I disagree with many of these left-wing independent content creators, they are independent content creators. And if that's where you would like to get your information from a left-wing source, I recommend them instead of these corporations, corporate-controlled mainstream media. So, all right. Thank you so much, everyone. I got to head out. I'm so excited I get to see what gender my baby's going to be. So I'm super pumped. Thank you all for being here. I'm humbled that anyone will listen to me. You guys really mean a lot to me. So thanks so much, everyone. And as always, have a good one.